On March 3, 1974, Turkish Airlines Flight 981, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10, embarked on what was supposed to be a routine journey from Istanbul to London. Little did the passengers and crew know they were about to become part of one of the deadliest aviation disasters in history. But what series of events led to the catastrophic failure of Turkish Airlines Flight 981, claiming the lives of all on board? Were there warning signs overlooked or crucial procedures neglected in the lead-up to this fatal mistake? Well, join us as we piece together the puzzle, exploring the human errors, technical malfunctions, and heartbreaking aftermath of Flight 981. March 3, 1974, started like any other day for the passengers boarding Turkish Airlines Flight 981, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10, at Paris-Orly Airport. Everything seems normal until suddenly chaos erupts at 12,000 feet. An explosive decompression rocks the aircraft as its aft cargo door tears off, echoing a similar incident less than 2 years prior involving American Airlines Flight 96. But this time, the outcome is far more devastating. Well, let's rewind a bit to understand the context. American Airlines Flight 96, also a DC-10, experienced a similar mishap in June 1972. In that incident, the cargo door tore off during ascent, causing a rapid decompression. However, through sheer skill and determination, the crew managed to safely land the aircraft, sparing the lives of everyone on board. Fast forward to the Turkish Airlines disaster, and the outcome was tragically different. Despite efforts to control the aircraft, Flight 981 plunged to the ground near Paris, claiming the lives of all 346 passengers and crew on board. It became one of the deadliest aviation accidents of its time. So, what went wrong this time? And how does it relate to the previous incident? Well, let's break it down. Following the American Airlines incident, investigators identified critical design flaws in the DC-10. Particularly regarding the cargo door. They recommended reinforcements to the locking mechanism and increased ventilation between cargo and passenger compartments to prevent damage to vital control cables in case of decompression. The Federal Aviation Administration, also called FAA, was quick to act, considering issuing an airworthiness directive that would ground affected aircraft until the issues were resolved. However, in what became known as a gentleman's agreement, McDonnell Douglas, the manufacturer promised to address the concerns through service bulletins instead. These service bulletins outlined fixes such as adding support brackets to prevent door handle bending, installing viewing holes for visual confirmation of lock positions, and improving electrical wiring for the locking mechanism. However, the issue of increased ventilation remained unresolved. Despite assurances that these fixes were implemented, subsequent investigations into Flight 981 revealed a troubling truth. Only one of the recommended modifications had been properly carried out on the aircraft, despite paperwork stating otherwise. The failure to address these critical design flaws proved catastrophic for Flight 981. The improperly secured cargo door led to a devastating decompression, causing the cabin floor to collapse and severing control cables. This ultimately resulted in the loss of the aircraft and all aboard. Now, let's take a closer look at Turkish Airlines Flight 981. This flight was planned with 2 stops, starting in Istanbul, then heading to Paris-Orly Airport, and finally, a quick hop over to London Heathrow. The captain of the flight was Nejat Berkuz, 44 years old, an experienced pilot with 7,000 hours of flight experience, including 438 hours on the type of aircraft they were flying that day. Alongside him were First Officer Oral Ulisman, 38 years old, with 5,589 hours and 628 hours on type, and the flight engineer Erhan Ozer, 37 years old, 2,113 hours and 775 hours on type, both bringing their own expertise to the cockpit. On the first leg, there were 167 passengers and 11 crew members aboard. After a smooth takeoff from Istanbul at 07:57 local time, the flight made its way to Paris-Orly, touching down at 11:02 local time. Upon arrival, 50 passengers left the aircraft and an additional 216 passengers boarded. This increase in passengers was unexpected due to strike actions, with travelers from Air France and British Airways being rebooked onto the Turkish Airlines flight. Despite the initial plan for a 1-hour turnaround, the influx of extra passengers caused a 30-minute delay. During this time, the aft cargo hold was emptied and closed, with 3 workers handling the task. The person responsible for closing the cargo hold door reported no issues and didn't check the verification window as he hadn't been instructed on its importance. Interestingly, notes were placed next to the door handler emphasizing the need to ensure the lock was properly engaged. However, these notes were written in Turkish and English while the worker only spoke French. Consequently, he didn't understand the significance of the notes and missed the crucial step of verifying the lock. This oversight would prove to be fatal. At time 12:24 local time, Turkish Airlines Flight 981 began its journey from Istanbul to London. Everything seemed normal as the plane taxied to runway 08 in Orly. The cockpit voice recorder didn't pick up anything unusual. At 12:29, the aircraft started its takeoff roll. The weather was clear with light winds and just a few clouds around. The takeoff went smoothly, climbing to 4,000 feet before contacting the departure controller. They were then instructed to climb to 23,000 feet and turn left towards a navigational aid called Mont Didier. However, as the plane climbed past 11,500 feet, there was a sudden decompression. The first officer shouted, "The aircraft has burst!" The plane started to yaw to the left, and the nose pitched downward. At the same time, one of the engines started to fail. Air traffic controllers in Paris heard transmissions from the aircraft, but they couldn't make out everything due to the language barrier. However, they could hear the urgency in the voices and alarms blaring in the background. Meanwhile, as controllers monitored their radar screens, they noticed something unusual. The radar showed 2 blips, one representing the aircraft continuing on its trajectory northward and another staying stationary. It turned out the stationary blip was the aftermath of a catastrophic event on board. Later investigations revealed that this secondary echo likely corresponded to the moment when the aft cargo door had opened mid-flight, causing a collapse of the cabin floor, and passengers were tragically sucked out through the open cargo compartment. As Flight 981 plummeted, its nose dipped sharply downward at nearly 20 degrees, a terrifying angle. The plane's speed surged to over 400 knots as it descended. Despite the pilot's lack of control input, the aircraft's inherent stability momentarily leveled the nose. However, there was no control over the pitch, and the aircraft continued its rapid descent. It hurtled through the sky for several kilometers before crashing into the forest of Ermenonville, northeast of Paris, at a staggering speed of nearly 800 kilometers per hour. The impact was so severe that the plane shattered into thousands of pieces upon impact, with no fire breaking out due to the sheer force. Sadly, this was a non-survivable event, with all 346 passengers and crew losing their lives instantly. Turkish Airlines Flight 981 became one of the deadliest aviation disasters of its time, leaving a profound impact on the aviation industry and prompting significant safety improvements in the years to come. Now, when investigators scoured the crash site, they uncovered critical evidence: the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. These findings were pivotal in piecing together what went wrong. About 15 kilometers from the initial incident site, they made a grim discovery. 6 passengers still strapped to their seats amidst debris, alongside remnants of the aft cargo door. A chilling realization dawned as they examined the door's lock mechanism. It bore striking similarities to a previous accident involving American Airlines Flight 96. Despite 3 safety bulletins aimed at preventing accidents, crucial safety steps were missed. The support bracket meant to strengthen the door was never put in, and the locking pins weren't set right, making it too easy to shut the door. Sadly, the ground service agent and the airline's ground engineer weren't there to catch these problems. This series of mistakes caused the floor to collapse, cutting off vital control cables. Ultimately, Turkish Airlines Flight 981 underscored the critical importance of rigorous safety protocols and oversight in aviation, leading to lasting reforms aimed at preventing similar tragedies in the future. Now, what lessons do you think we can draw from this tragedy? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel for more.